Well, if it isn't Fuji International Speedway, and well, if it ain't quite cloudy here on the hillsides of Shizuoka, welcome on board to the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series postseason. And as you can see here, 22 cars have made it into this main race through either qualifying in their respective split qualifying or making it into the top 6 of the qualifying races. And speaking of the track here in Shizuoka, we're going to take a look into Fuji Speedway. 4.5 kilometers in total for this track here in Shizuoka. 16 corners in total. We got some great corners like Dunlop, and also we have a few fast corners like turns 4 and 5. And remember, Fuji also has this super long main straight, 1.5 kilometers in total. So watch out for overtaking moves into turn 1. 44 laps of racing in total here in Fuji. We're talking laps of 142.573, but we have seen a 141 be possible with these current tires and cars that we have at the moment. And speaking of which, we're going to also take a look into the guys who have qualified into this main race. So we're starting off with Hofumai, who is currently in the top 5 in the standings. Obviously, actually, never mind. He's actually second. Callum Gibbons finally makes it into the main race by showing pace at the Fuji Speedway. Those Hernandez makes up for his crash in the qualifying race at Suzuka, with basically qualifying into the main race by their split A qualifying. Tacos Led and Ricci making it into the main race once again. And here we see Vladislav Damashev currently 34th in the standings, and he's currently in the main race, looking to score some valuable points for Aki Rosenthal and the Rosenthal. Anthony Amendola, Richie Raw, and Bon Air make it into the main race once again. Aquamarine Jensen again delivers as a rookie on his second Hololive GT3 Japan Series postseason main race. He makes it in, as does Kizuhara Leo, Raiji Kaczynski, and Hans-Henrik Heinz with that clutch last lap move on that qualifying race against Tim Eno allowed him to advance into the main race, basically at the cost of Tim Eno. Honorable we had the entirety of Hololive gamers, Andrew Rahim Baez, Sergei Petrov, and Sean Pauli split A champion, making it into the main race. Although once we get to Gen 3 onwards, it gets strung out very quickly, with Katrin Vasilyev also in the bottom of the standings, finally being able to qualify for the main race. While Suharto won in the qualifying race yesterday, well, let's see what he can do with that Sharonoi Flanders, and Jake Fox also qualifies to the main race in that Porsche Marine Lexus. And then we have Mohammad Reza, after not qualifying at Suzuka, makes it in Fuji by virtue of making it in by the split A qualifying. And also his brother Mohammad Shakib Reza, the only Gen 5 representative Moses Sunende, making it into the main race through qualifying. And also we did mention Shazan Reza making it in due to him as the only Gen 4 member out there. And Alikan Aster not qualifying in Suzuka, but qualifying here in Fuji. Alikan Aster representing Takane doing very well, and that makes up the 22 car field that will make it into the main race here today. And speaking of the championship positions, here is the standings. Lorenzo Ricci and Hofumai have qualified for the main race, so watch out for them as they will try to defend their championship their places at the top of the championship. Daniel Bauer, of course, will have to tumble down due to him not being able to qualify. Here we have the rest of the guys here. Let's see. Wallace Harton being quite fast. I'm tipping him to be the favorites to win here. He's had a lot of pace. He's got a good amount of. He's got a good car throughout this weekend. So I expect him to at least try to be able to attempt to win this race and take the championship lead from maybe Lorenzo Ricci and Hofumai. But we'll have to wait and see as we're about to get this qualifying session underway. Hi everyone, welcome on board to the stream. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is enjoying this slightly cloudy day here in Fuji Speedway. And we're about to get this qualifying session underway. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Zeke Wimberly, and we have someone returning in the commentary booth. His name is Callum Gibbons. So welcome on board, you two, and everyone here in the stream. We're into round 3 of the Hololive GT3 Japan Series race at postseason race at Fuji Speedway. Well, nice to see everyone here. What are your thoughts heading into qualifying?
Hello everyone, hope you all are doing very well on this, well, afternoon in my case, but morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And yes, it's been a while since I've been in the commentary booth, so hopefully not too rusty, but very much looking forward to this race as well. I heard the qualifying races were rather chaotic.
Well, it has been quite chaotic there in the qualifying races, especially that what we mentioned, the Hans-Henrik Hans clutch-up move on the final lap, basically for conserving the tires until the final 2 laps, where he basically eats up the lead, not exactly the lead, the gap that Kim Indo had formed, and of course, he basically made it work when he needed the most. And speaking of the 48 car has yet to come out on track. So Z, we're about to see the first lap times being represented into the timesheets. What are your thoughts?
I'm just looking forward to watching all these beautiful cars race this evening. At least for me, it could be morning, noon, wherever you are, as Gitto said. But it's just gonna be it's gonna be for quote unquote all the marbles, and by that I mean about 4 of them. But we're just gonna see who just entered here for show and who's in it to win it.
And currently we're looking at Hofumai, second in the championship standings, and as we're about to get his hot lap underway, it has been a long time coming, so why not give your insights on this lap by Hofumai here in Fuji Speedway?
Alright, so heading wide entry to the final corner, send out for the main straight. So Fuji, I think, is the longest front straight, like on any of the tracks possibly that we've raced in Hololive GT3. So getting up to top speed into 6th gear and peaking already above 260 kilometers an hour as it crosses the control line to start the lap. Above 270, can it peak at 280? No, just misses 280, but hard braking zone into turn 1. Makes the apex, keeps it nice and tidy, and then heading towards the approach towards our corner, so we head into the more technical sections of the lap. So a medium speed corner using the right hand curb, keeps it nice and tucked in as well, and then through to 100R, taking a wide approach, and then still keeping it wide and then keeping it tucked in towards exit, so very late apex, and then heading towards the hairpin, one of the slower corners on the circuit, 2nd gear corner, and then back into 300R, heading towards sector 3, now heading towards the more technical section of sector 3, so heading towards Dunlop corner, another hard braking zone, low speed corner. Uses all the track with 3rd gear, 2nd gear, 1st gear even, and is now a bit held up behind his Honda here, so now there's going to be a bit of a compromised lap, so probably not getting them as much speed as he wants, but still a 102.3 for the first 2 sectors, and then heading towards the last penultimate corner, still stuck behind his Honda, but might not be held up too much, but I think may have the advantage of the slipstream in onto the main straight, so now heading towards the final corner. Wide approach, keeps it nice and tidy, now is the apex, and well, catching all that slipstream from the Honda.
And with that, we just need to mash the throttle throughout the rest of this long straight 1.5 kilometers in length. Hofumai already peeling into the inside of that main straight to basically try to get a representative lap time in 142.574. As you can see here, he lost a good amount of time in that 2nd sector. Now you may want to know that 2nd sector ends at the Dunlop chicane, so you might lose a good amount of time because that 2nd sector does not really suit the Nissans that much. But here is the driver that we need to pay attention to. He already said he's currently setting the provisional pole time 141.752 in that Himimori Luna Honda. The last time we see the number 31 be on top was at Boram, at least in the qualifying session, where the 31 Honda, representing Himimori Luna, basically struck the pole position at Boram last May and won race 1. That was the last time, at least to my knowledge, where Shazin Reza and number 31 machine basically won a race. Will Shazin Reza do it again today here in Fuji and break what's basically a near 6-month long winning streak? We'll have to wait and see.
Yes, Shazin Reza heads towards the timing line to finish his lap. It's quite a bit of a pack, even though it's qualifying, so not really helping each other out, giving each other any space at all. So not really clean laps from these drivers here.
No, so clean for all these drivers for sure, as we need to pay attention on something that might have happened. Oh yeah, so apologies if I haven't gone full screen just yet. I'm trying to switch the screen here. Hang on, I'm going to need to stop streaming first and then share my screen once again. Okay, hopefully the screen issue has been fixed. So Z, we're about to finish this final minute qualifying session. What's your time, please?
Honestly, I could not see very much. However, I do have something for Luna, Jasmine. Hondas are just in the middle right now, so it's gonna be really conflicting seeing if a Honda would win, because there's such like so many corners, and then there's just giant straight, and it just feels like the Honda could potentially just get outclassed. So it's really just just moments of opportunity for the Hondas to just shine through.
And currently, as we're seeing, Richie Ross in the final, fastest final sector here in this qualifying session. Richie Ross is final outlap here at the moment. And meanwhile, Yoso Hernandez setting another banger lap, 1:41.892. I think it's a personal best for him. Only puts him a 10th behind the provisional pole sitter, Muhammad Shazrin Reza. Haven't seen him in top for a long while. Shazrin Reza in that main race qualifying on pole. Shazrin Reza steering clear of the Mustang, although he doesn't need to worry too much at the moment as Shazrin Reza completes his lap. That's basically his run over. So Shazrin Reza currently sitting provisionally on top.
Yeah, provisionally on top, 41.752, and it seems to be the high 41s that seem to be the ideal time for the field at the moment. Mainly Honda and Nissan's was the front, so utilising their superior straight line speed to the Lexus, whereas the Lexus tends to be better in the corners. And Mark, I think, being the best of the Lexus so far in 7th place, actually make that 8th place now.
Well, for myself, the 5th fastest lap time there, only 3/10 behind the pole sitter. Lorenzo Ricci was also close to getting that pole position, sets the fastest first and third sectors to, I believe. So Lorenzo Ricci is currently the championship leader at 242 points, 40 plus points over Mai and Daniel Bauer. So Ricci is in a very solid position to steal as much points as possible and to extend that championship lead.
Just extending the lead itself, just second place is just awesome for a qualifying right now. I don't think he's going to be beat within this qualifying, so definitely has a very good chance of just possibly even taking the race lead, but just extending his lead even further.
Yes, as you can see, Yoso Hernandez fastest first sector, personal best on the second and third sector. With that, the qualifying session has concluded. Yoso Hernandez will start on the front row as we're about to basically transition just a bit into the starting lineup. So it's a Honda front row with Muhammad Shazrin Reza and Yoso Hernandez in front. So we're going to go through the qualifying times and see who is going to start on pole and who is going to start wherever they are. So let's look at the starting lineup here. Muhammad Shazrin Reza, for the first time since Boram, will start on pole in that number 31 Himimori Luna Honda. So props to Shazrin Reza for setting a very decent lap time. Here's Yoso Hernandez starting on the front row alongside Shazrin Reza in that Sakuramiko Honda. And then we have the championship leader Lorenzo Ricci in that Hoshimachi Suisse Nissan. Let's see what he can do to extend that championship lead. Andrew Takozla also in the hunt for the championship. He's currently inside the top 10. So the ASCII car starts 4th. Hofumai second in the championship stand is only 2 spots behind Ricci. What will Fumai do from 5th on the grid representing Tokinosora, as does Richie Rod in that Shirakami Fubuki Nissan starting 6th. Anthony Amano 7th in the Akai Hato Honda, finished 3rd last time out in Suzuka. Let's see what he can do. Cal Gibbons, welcome back to the main race, and welcome back to the commentary, of course. He will start 8th in that number 64 Roboco Lexus, highest Lexus currently in the starting lineup, Sergei Petrov. 9th in that Nakamata Akayu Nissan, as does Aquamarine Jensen in the top 10. 10th place is where he will start in that Minata Aqua Nissan Aquamarine Jensen. Hansari Hines, the guy who clutched his way into the main race, will start 11th in that number 48 Ozora's Bar Lexus, and we need to we'll mention a few things about Subaru later on. Raji Kaczynski in that Suzuki Choco Lexus will start 12th in the Choco Lexus. Jake Fox from Marine Lexus starts 13th. Sean Paul is playing 8 champion. Inugami Korone Honda will start 14th place. And then Bon Air in the Natsuri Matsuri Lexus will start 15th. And then Algan Aster representing Takani Lui in the number 61 Honda will start 16th. Kizuhara Leo in the number 40 Murasaki Shion Honda will start 17th. Plaza Damashev is in the main race finally, but we will start 18th. 3 spots behind the points in the Akira Toto Lexus. And Rahima starts 19th in the Yokami Mio Honda. Collins Harto, car number 20, Suriname Flair Nissan will start 20th. Catherine Vasiliev in the number 11 Sada Pecora Honda will start on the back row in that Pecora Honda, and Shaka Reza completes the 22 car grid as we're gonna be set to start this race here in Fuji. So Gibbo and Zeke, I want to hear your thoughts before we're going to start this race.
Yeah, so a solid showing from our own car, getting into the main race and a decent qualifying position as well, so hopefully getting into the scoreboard for the championship standings.
And Zeke.
I just want to see what Heinz can do. Clutched up last races just to get into that, so I just want to see if they're just as big of an apex predator as they were yesterday for today.
And so we're gonna get this 22 car lineup into their starting grid. We are seeing all these cars lining up. We have not seen the number 31 Himimori Luna Honda start on pole since Boiram. So it's nice to see the 31 car return at the top in the qualifying sheets. Let's see what Jetta can do from pole position. Lucio Hernandez is alongside him at the start. 5 red lights are on at Fuji Speedway for round 3 of the Hololive GT3 Japan Series postseason, and we are underway. And as you can see, there's a lot of wheels spilling there by Lucio Hernandez. But it's going to be a Honda 1-2 entering turn 1. Headlights are on pretty early on as the visibility is getting pretty low. Look at Ricci holding on to 3rd place. Tacos Let's going to try to say something about it in the ASCII Nissan. Suise and ASCII having some collaboration with each other. They do some performances sometimes together in the stage. These two are battling for the final podium positions. Meanwhile, Cal Gibbons up to 5th place, as much as Shaka Reza had did last March. And there's contact between Fumai and Kaczynski. As you can see, Kaczynski gets hammered by Fumai, and he's now out of this race entirely. Like you can see here, he is out there. Let's see if he can get back out. Yes, he can get back out. And also there's a jostling for position between MNL and Rod. Rod now up to 7. And you can see here, Fuma having a damaged car. That's not going to do him any favors in the championship. Jensen is still holding on to 9. Sergey Petrov's in the top 10.
Clean first corner, but just all came apart and went towards the second corner, so it all just got into a bit of a scuffle, and some wheel spinning from the start as well. So track not really the greatest grip, even though it says the track is optimum, or they were just too hard on the throttle. But nevertheless, my own car also getting up to 4th place, so very good start there.
Good stuff there from Calvin Gibbons. Started 8th, is now up to 4th place. Rakim Mariev and Leo, 2 Hondas battling side by side. They battle in Okayama, the number 30 and the number 40. Rakim is going to take a look into the inside of Richie Bon Air as well. As you can see, the 2 Nissans battling in the back with Suharto and Shakib Reza. Meanwhile, Hernandez is slowly catching up into Shakib Reza. Another jostling for position between Jake Fox and Valsa Damaso. Damaso has kind of lost out. Bon Air is at the back. 2 Hondas are behind. Could we be seeing a 3-4 wide move?
Very interesting. Sorry, I used that. It is a very chaotic first start of the race. So far, a lot of positions changed. I'd argue that it's mostly scrambled for what the positions were in qualifying. But I'm seeing a lot of overtaking, still very young in the race, should settle down within the next few laps or so.
And I think we just saw some 4 wide racing, and actually some 5 wide racing as we've seen last March as well. 5 cars going into 1 corner. It could end quite uglily, and as you can see here, Kizuhara a dive down the inside of Bon Air into turn 1. Both of them have had some form of damage, but so far it's a racing incident. They both left enough room, and both of them are able to continue. So extremely amazing racing there in the first few laps here in Fuji.
Yeah, a bit of door banging into the first corner. I think with that very long and very wide front straight, gives a lot of opportunity for that slipstream and for a lot of side-by-side action as well. So as I said, 4, even 5 wide heading into there, but of course that's not going to really fit into the first corner, so someone's got to break through.
And currently we're seeing Kizuhara Leo trying to peek down the inside of Rahimbayev once again. Domashnev now alongside Bon Air once again. Two Gen 1 cars battling hammer and taunt with each other. Domashnev and Bon Air heading into turns 13 and 14. is gonna go for a long way out. The Domashnev has to go into the inside just a bit to give room. Bon Air is gonna try to consolidate the move up back into 17th place. He took a lot of curve, loses the car, and fortunately doesn't collect another car. As Shudder is assessed the fastest lap 142, 146.
Talking really fast. I can barely keep up. However, a lot of battles still happening now. Only a third lap of the race. I was expecting it to settle down by now, but we still have combat after combat right now. Currently, Fuma just took over Rishi. Shakib Reza. I can't keep track.
And Shakib Reza actually attempted to go for the double overtake. There's contact between Vasiliev and Shakib Reza. The 11 and the 77 door banging heading into turn 2. And now into Coca-Cola corner. Shakib Reza has the inside line. Pushes Vasiliev off wide. There's a bit of a bad blood between the two as both of them are basically trading paint between each other. Shakib Reza was trying to go for the double overtake, but then he was in the center of that 3 wide action and basically got the worst of it, as now Kaczynski is gonna attack Shakib Reza.
Yeah, so not really settling down at all at this point. Still a bit of door banging, still a bit of scuff marks on the car. Hopefully it was all just cosmetic and not mechanical, but it's definitely not leaving any room here.
And currently we're seeing more battles here between Jake Fox and Vlad Domashnev, and 2 more Lexus cars battling it out between Domashnev and Jake Fox. Domashnev representing Aki Rotenthal, Jake Fox representing Hosha Marine. Obviously both of them are still quite clean at the moment, nothing too bad as it stands. Also want to take a look into some of the gainers after basically 2 laps, close to 3 laps here. Callum Gibbons with the best gainer currently so far, as we're starting lap 4, 3 laps complete, gains 4 spots from 8th, and Rahim I start 19th, now up to 14th.
A lot of movement happened within the first little bit, and we are still getting more Jake Fox getting taken over by Longman Sahart, though. There's a lot. The way we're racing, a car crashing collision is gonna happen inevitably. It already has. It's just it wasn't as severe to just knock someone out of the race. But if we keep just doing this, it's inevitable.
Well, it has already been inevitable. It has happened twice, especially in the first lap where Alex Grant got tipped out by a driver. As you can see here, Vlasa Domashnev goes into the inside once again, just like what Hans-Henrik Heinz had done to Tim Inno the previous qualifying race. Domashnev drives down the inside of Rahimbayev to make a move, and currently Domashnev now up to 15th place and is now inside the points.
Domashnev looking very agile in that Lexus, and the Lexus tends to go very well in the more technical sections in terms of sectors 2 and 3. It's a bit down on straight line speed. If as long as he can stay in the slipstream, it might not be as much of a deficit.
And currently we're looking at some of the few gainers and losers here, some of the guys who are closing in. Malcolm Marine Jensen has Lorenzo Ricci ahead of him, and as it stands at the moment with Fumai currently in 5th and Ricci in 7th, Fumai is going to be stealing a good amount of points away from Ricci, but with Shadran Reza up there in 1st place, Shadran is in a very solid position to at least be in the top 5 in the championship.
I can't really estimate who's going to be top 5. Still too young in the race. Plus, too much movements going around for me to really get my head around it. But that's nope, it's not slowing down. We have a constant battle between Petrov and Emina, and then we got 2 behind them. In front of them, scuffling as well. And then we got some at the back. Well, so many battles happening in so little time. We just can't cover all of them.
And there's just so many racing here at the moment, like you mentioned, we just couldn't keep up with all of them. And as you can see here, Aaron Vasiliev, Fox and Kaczynski trading blows 1 by 1 as Shakib Reza drops down to last place. Unfortunately, here is Aaron Vasiliev. Will there be contact? There is no contact. They both leave enough room as we're still too early in this race. Rajat Kaczynski and Jake Fox side by side, heading into 100R and heading into the hairpin. Rajat Kaczynski holding on to 20th place very decently as Sergei Petrov Also trying to get close to Lorenzo Ricci, the championship leader. Let's see what all these drivers can do with 4 laps basically complete.
Yeah, there's some very ambitious moves even though it's very early on, so trying to establish that early track position before we get into the pit stop phase.
And currently we want to pay attention to Adak-RMS, who are doing very well in 13th place, trying to catch up to Sean Pauli, who's currently in 12th. So also want to take a look at some of the next battles that we may want to pay attention to. Yoso Hernandez trying to catch up to Machado and Rizal. Let's look into the last lap there as they complete their 5th laps. 142.179 for Shazam, 142.259 for Hernandez. But we also want to pay attention to Fuma, who's already set the fastest lap of the race, 141.787.
Just great driving all around, but I think we've got another battle going on. Fumai takes over Gibbons right now, but I think Gibbons is going to take up a fight, maybe? No, long gone. It's a vacated position. Fumai takes 4th place.
And as Vladislav Damashev goes for the switchback move against Rakhimbayev, you can see Damashev trying to defend that one solitary point for himself, and Rakhimbayev wants to see if he can steal a point from Damashev as well. They're going to go side by side. Damashev is ahead of Rakhimbayev. There will not be any moves from Rakhimbayev as it stands. We are looking into some of the other battles here right now. Richie Rod has now slowed down just a bit. As you can see, Jensen has already overtaken Lorenzo Ricci. Ricci's now down to 8th.
Yeah, just going down the field at the moment now. I've said Bellin, Jensen and Ricci heading towards the Dunlop chicane. Just tucked in behind a bit scruffy through there, so and you can see we're all just getting further and further away.
And looking into the next few insight that we want to pay attention to, the track temperature is about 18 degrees, so it's a bit cold. So what we want to mention to you that with a cold track like this, tire warm-up will be quite slow. And so if you basically pit it, you'll need to have a longer time warming up the tires than usual, and this will affect pit strategies. So we've heard there about the undercut and overcuts, right? So if you do the undercut, it will be dependent on the track temperature and how fast you can warm out the tires. If you can warm out your tires very quickly, then you can use that undercut strategy to your advantage. Rather than that, try to overcut as long as possible and try to minimize the damage inflicted by that second stint.
It's the strategies, yeah, like Chesman just said, it's gonna just kind of mess up a little bit of strategies a little bit, but I don't think it'll impact it too bad, at least compared to the other race that happened just today.
And here comes another battle here between Vasiliev and Bon Air. It has been ebbing and flowing between these two drivers here. As you can see, Bon Air is now shuffled back. Emmanuel Ricci now basically trading balls between each other. Lorenzo Ricci is going to try to defend it at the hairpin on the inside. As Emmanuel goes off on the outside, tries to get a very good exit go for a very solid run ending into 300R into the Dunlop chicane. As you can see, Lorenzo Ricci is falling down. His pace is literally falling down these past few laps.
Yeah, it's not really showing that pace at the moment. Just looking at the car, can't really see any obvious damage, so maybe just the pace is just not there, or just maybe taking higher fuel for this first stint, but just not quite there at the moment.
And currently Hopeful Mai is running away with that 4th place run. Takozla has not finished on the podium yet in Hololive GT3, and that car, the ASCII Nissan, has not finished on the podium since Boram as well. So Andrew Takozla, if he can hold on to 3rd place, it will be a good day for ASCII and her fans. Meanwhile, that's what I also want to mention, Hans-Henrik Heinz is currently in 11th place. And a bit of a side note, next Sunday, Ozores Baru will host her 4th anniversary live stream concert. And obviously celebrating her 4 years in Hololive at the moment. We do mention that Ozores Baru has been a very talented member that can really hit the high notes, having that high energy. And Hans-Henrik Heinz is delivering on such promises. So Hans-Henrik Heinz, a Subatomo, really showed that as well. Excuse me. During the qualifying race where he clutched up that move on the final lap of that qualifying race to make it into the main race, and now he's currently in 11th. Let's see what Hans-Henrik Heinz can do to make it inside the top 10.
I'm suspecting quite a bit right now. Race is still young, but I'm sure Heinz has quite a couple tricks up his sleeves that he'll play later in the race. But for now, it's pretty stagnant right now.
A bit stagnant at the moment. Callum Gibbons really goes on the inside of Andrew Takoza. Takoza is also falling down quite a bit as well as Fumai, as we mentioned, have overtaken Taco's lead early on. We're sorry if we haven't catch that already, but here is the battle here. Let's see if we can make it up for it. Cal Gibbons on the outside, Taco's lead on the inside. Into turn 14, there's contact between Gibbons and Taco's lead, but it's now Gibbons up to 4th place.
Yeah, very ambitious move to that section. We saw him take out a lot of that sausage curve there, so luckily he's still keeping that car stable and doesn't look like they've picked up any major damage of any kind. So a very good move there.
But Andrew Takoza is going to fight back as the top 5 currently at the moment are the leader is the Gen 0, representing Gen 0 here at the moment. Gen 0 will have everything to smile about, but Cal Gibbons is going to try to fight back. Now he has the slipstream, but he's too far back, and it will be Andrew Takoza in 4th place.
That was just straight speed coming from Takoza. Gibbons just takes his spot back that we took from Takoza earlier, just finding dandy. But yeah, it seems it's going to be decently vacated, at least for now, at least until straight comes up in at the end of the lap.
And Richie Rod currently hanging off to dry on the outside as Sergei Petrov getting into 100 on the inside, but Rod will have the advantage on the inside into the hairpin. At the Aminos now back into the mix. Lorenzo Ricci down in 7. This will play in Ansari Kaiser's hand, going on board with Anthony Aminos. There's like 3 Nissans jostling for position left, right, and center. And here we see Anthony Aminos trying to think of a move down the inside, but he's too far back. But again, multiple battles here throughout the circuit here. We're already 8 laps done and we're in lap 9 and the action just doesn't stop.
Yeah, very compact group here for the later end of the top. Could you see Hines just hanging a bit back at the moment, possibly waiting for a mistake, but it's actually just caught up just a bit more now. It'll be in the slipstream heading toward the main straight. May not really be beneficial because Nissans and Hondas are straight line speed, but he's still keeping in contact with this group.
And currently we're looking into some of the other battles here. Ali Gonna Aster holding on to 13th place. Tomashnev is kind of slowly catching up to Kizuhara Liu, and the Huracan is backing up just a bit. Meanwhile, Callum Gibbons is currently hanging out in 4th place. Takoza has fallen down just a bit. He started on the 2nd row and is now down to 5th, so he looks to be quite decent here. Will there be a battle between Lorenzo Ricci and Anthony Emanol? There will be a battle. Ricci and Emanol side by side. Will Ricci be able to clear Emanol? The answer is no. Emanol still on the inside, heading into Coca-Cola corner. And Emanol has the inside line. Will there be contact? The answer will be no. And Emanol has the outside, but he will turn into the inside. He will go for the switchback move, but he's too far back. Anthony Emanol trying to attack Lorenzo Ricci in the Hoshimachi Suisei Nissan. Ricci manages to defend 9th place from Emanol.
Truly impressive stuff coming from Lucy, but I'm sure that Emanol could definitely take that back. Just tried to do a lot of strategic planning, but it just couldn't work. They just didn't have the pace to just make it up to Reese and just lost that 9th place.
So we're going to take a look into some of the onboards here as we're taking a look at that number 22 Shirakame Fubuki Nissan. So obviously very good stuff there from Richie Rod, staying inside the points, basically remaining consistent throughout these few rounds. Obviously it pales in comparison to, let's say, Hofumai and Lorenzo Ricci. And as it stands at the moment, Hofumai will take the championship lead heading into the postseason finale at Okayama.
Yeah, definitely showing today and very good for the season prospects as well, as we look down the rest of the field as well. So still, I think it's slightly settled down now by the looks of things. I think the back end of the top 10 is still a bit compact, but I think the field is now sort of consolidating their track position and just setting up their plan for the rest of the stint.
And currently, as you can see here, Jake Fox has also lost out to Shaki Freza there. Shaki Freza not wanting to taste the silver spoon. So Fox now down to last place. Bon Air is slowly catching up to Raja Kaczynski. Will there be a move? The gap is closing, but I don't think they're too they're close enough to basically warn a move. Meanwhile, as we'll be taking a look at some of the other battles here, the pace is just ebbing and flowing throughout this race here at the moment. We're nearly a quarter done with this race. And of course, welcome everyone to the stream. I hope you're enjoying the race so far. It's Shaded Reza leading in the number 31 Himimori Luna Honda. 4 seconds is the lead he has over Yosef Hernandez.
It seems, of course, it hasn't really settled down much, but it has settled down as gaps start to form. Almost about a fourth of the race, which is way longer than I anticipated. Usually starts settling down around round 3 to 5, which that just shows how committed these drivers are to just getting the quote-unquote trophy here. Actually, no, this is
getting the top step of the podium and getting that win. Yes, the last time Shaded Reza won in that number 31 Himimori Luna Honda, it was at Boram Split A Race 1. Obviously, the second race was won by Mama Zohair in the Shirakami Fubuki Nissan, but he's then since been replaced by Richie Roth. Mama Shaded Reza trying to bring home a win for Himimori Luna and the Lunas for the first time since May. And of course, since then, Shadow's championship prospects have been stagnated, and obviously with that 200-point penalty. And you can see here, Ricci and Sergei Petrov battling it out. Ricci is back on the hunt. He has found that pace again and is now in 8th place. So Ricci, very good stuff there from the Italian. Back to Mama Shadow's story. There was that 200-point penalty for unapproved traction controls at Okayama. And of course, Shadowreza had been on the outside looking in the championship since, at least for the regular season. But in the postseason, Shadowreza has been looking very good. But we also want to talk about Fuji. Shadowreza hasn't been the best performer. His best finish is 4th on Hololive GT3 Japan Series Split A Race 1. But in Race 2, he got collected by the 6th car, which is number 6 for Lexus, and then in round 7 we will return to Fuji for the summer race. They basically have traded blows, I think, and as you can see here, speaking of trading blows, here's Emanuel and Petrov.
Yeah, still going.
Go. You try.
no worries, but still going, and it's very chaotic because there's a chaotic in the commentary box as Emanuel's holding the inside line into the final corner and weather spin.
Yes, Sergei Petrov, I think, went off wide there onto the grass and basically caught some dirt on the tires, basically minimal grip there, and that basically, he's still off onto the grass. He needs to get himself back composed, and this will allow Sean Pauli to basically get back in. I'm not sure what's happened to Sergei Petrov's car, but his car hasn't been an issue, but his car's now back on track. So Sean Pauli is back up in 11th. Jensen and Tacos led side by side, heading into Coca-Cola corner. They're still side by side. There could be contact if they're not careful. Jensen and Tacos led. There has been slight contact, but it's still quite fine for both of them. Sergei Petrov and Sean Pauli had battling it out once again. The Coca-Cola cars heading into Coca-Cola corner. It's Sergei Petrov's 11th place still. Now back in the Shadowreza story. Fuji Split A Race 1. Round 1, that was 7th place. And then Shadowreza finished outside the points in Fuji Race 2 after a collision with the number 6 Lexus. Of course, we were trying to keep him up, and now Jake Fox. As meanwhile, Rod and Tacos led, battling it out as they see an open space between himself and Aquamarine Jensen. A lot of ebb and flow between these three drivers, and further back.
It just seems midfield is just completely just an absolute battleground right now. Just most of them come over there, but I would just like to commend the quote-unquote exploitation of Petrov with the collision. Heinz was just waiting there, just absolutely patient hunter, just waiting for his time to strike, and he did. Currently now in 10th place.
Okay, back to the Shadowreza story. He didn't perform very well in basically round 7, and I think he only scored a decent top 10 fit, but I think it's a top 5 for the Fuji Summer Race 1. But for Race 2, he had an electric issue, and that basically curtails his chances. Shadowreza has never finished on the podium here in the Luna Honda and Fuji, let alone a win. And with his drought, it will be a nice welcome, a nice return to the top step of the podium for Shadowreza if he can hold on to this race lead. And Sean Pauli goes side by side with Sergei Petrov.
Yeah, still going side by side as well, heading towards Coca-Cola corner. I think Polly's might have solidified the proof. No, I think Petrov's having a little look, but can't really make the gap there. And as you mentioned before, the leader having a very strong performance so far, and hasn't really been challenged so far this race, so probably oblivious to the chaos behind him.
And currently, there's also battles here between Andrew Akimbayev and Bowen Swarta. Bowen Swarta holding on to the inside. Andrew Akimbayev is going to try to make a move around the outside. He might just be able to carry on that momentum heading into the hairpin. And Rahimbai trying to get a good exit off the hairpin. And Shadowreza at 100R at the moment, trying to look into move into Vasilia. As for Sergei Petrov and Sean Pauli. Now, both of these drivers represent Inugami Korone, Sean Pauli, and Sergei Petrov represent Nekamata Okayu. So basically, these two form a combo colloquially known as Oka-Koro. They have a very solid connection between the two. They collab between each other more often than not, and more often than not see them together in multiple instances. And currently, Sean Pauli and Sergei Petrov trading load one by one, but still having that mutual respect between the two.
Truly a honor-bound system, quote-unquote, but one's eventually gonna pass the other up. And speaking of passing, we got 3 battles on our hands. Right now, the top one going Hernandez and Fumai. You don't really see Fumai get past that often, but it seems Hernandez has the upper hand, but I believe Fumai has the side. I'm potentially seeing a pass from Fumai.
Yes,
but it's gonna work out though.
Yeah, it could work.
Think it's gonna.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough, but I think Hernandez may still want to continue this battle here. They're both still side by side, heading into the time twisty third sector. It's a massive battle between the 2 Gen 1 cars. Also, Hernandez representing Sakuramiko and Hofumai representing Tokino Sora, and Fumai going very wide there to try to get a very solid exit into turns 15 and 16 to try to get alongside Hernandez. Obviously, Hernandez holding on to the second place very well there. We have not seen a driver pit this lap as of yet. Hofumai currently barreling down the main straight. Let's see what he can do heading into turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like Fumai just got on the marbles there, lost all grip around the outside, is now stuck behind. Now in the slipstream, is getting closer and closer. It's having a look down the inside into turn 1 against Hernandez, side by side. Hard break into turn 1, still inside, but just can't get it pulled up enough to finish the move.
But he may have the move settled just a bit. But here comes Yozo Hernandez. Hernandez having a very good launch off of turn 1, heading into Coca-Cola corner. Fumai has the outside, Hernandez on the inside. There is still no contact. Very good respect. Very clean racing between the drivers up front. Fumai is in the inside, Hernandez on the outside, and that pink Sakuramiko Honda. Obviously, they're still battling it down, and as it stands, both of them are losing out to Shadowreza, who is laughing in the lead at the moment. The gap was 7 seconds, it's now 10 seconds, as both Hernandez and Fumai lose a lot of unnecessary time to challenge the leader.
It just all seems like a ginormous power vacuum for second place right now. I believe Gibbons also is having a chance to catch up between the two, and if this persists for long enough, could potentially even join them. But I don't think that's very likely.
And look at this, the track has now gone so dark that basically the track lights have opened. So as you can see here, Reboot team have done a very good job making this mod, making this track for Fuji Speedway, making it comply to the custom shaders patch and content manager as well. As you can see, the track has now lit up, and we are about to approach basically sunset here in Fuji.
Yeah, very nice scenes here as well. Look at Gibbons here. in the slipstream, but not really making grounds on second or third placement. Just doesn't really have that straight line speed. So hopefully just tucking in behind, keep in touch with this group, and just see if there's any opportunities open up.
Speaking of opportunities, Anthony Amanal is the first driver to pit on lap 17. He will commit to a one-stop strategy, most likely. And we have noted that the proper pronunciation for Phu Mai is actually, quote-unquote, Phu Mi in Vietnamese. So we're going to be respecting the proper pronunciations this time by.
Okay,
a bit off. Hang on. I think you can hear me again. Yeah, I think.
You're good.
Okay, I'm good. So we will respect the proper pronunciation. So it will be Phu Mi, Ho Phu Mi. So Ho Phu Mi currently in third place, holding on to third place. But let's look at the other drivers here. Anthony Amanal has just finished pitting. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can warm his tires enough.
It's gonna take a little bit of time, but once train gets rolling, everything should be hopefully smooth sailing, depending on if his offense is right enough. And with the very aggressive tactics coming from everybody here, I'd argue that should be fairly trivial, I'd say.
Well, we could say it might be trivial, but right now Anthony Amanal has gone ahead of Raja Kaczynski at Bon Air. Remember, both of them have also pitted quite early. We forgot to mention to you that, as Bon Air fighting for the silver spoon against Raja Kaczynski, both cars, Lexus cars, into turn 1, exiting turn 1. Bon Air has a good launch as Marco-Marin Jensen is the next driver to pit.
It looks like Fumi in the pit as well, so a lot of drivers thinking this is now the good time to pit. And you were saying about the track getting darker as well, so tyre wobber is going to be more of an issue this time around. Track temperature is still 18 degrees, so self-stabilizing there.
As well as a lot of drivers, there's going to be a good amount of activity in the pit lane here. We're seeing Vlasa Damaschev and Hans-Heinrich Heinz peeling into their pit stalls as well. Lorenzo Ricci and Tacos Led battling side by side, heading into what's basically the hairpin. Ricci has the inside line heading into the hairpin. Tacos Led will have to improvise, try to get a very wide line off of the hairpin to try to get that momentum on. They're still side by side heading into 300R and heading into the Dunlop chicane. Ricci has the nose, but it will be Andrew Tacos Led. So on the inside of the first Dunlop, second Dunlop will go to Lorenzo Ricci. Lorenzo Ricci has struggled just a bit. They're still side by side heading into second grade.
Just a ginormous. Every battle just lasts at least like a couple laps or so, it feels, but I guess not this one. It's starting to settle down a little bit. Tacos Led still on the trail of Rishi though, but I think this battle's been snuffed out.
And speaking of snuffing out, nope. Lorenzo Ricci peeling into the pits.
Well, I guess that was pointless.
Well, as we're about to continue on into this race here, we're getting into the halfway point. Two purple cars battling for position, Sergei Petrov and Kizuhara Leo, as no one is looking to peel into the pits just yet. Juan Suarto's catching up to Alican Aster. It's the Shiranui Flare car versus Takane Louis car up front. Here is Suarto on the inside. Will there be enough? He is now a nose, nearly a car length ahead. There's Juan Suarto up to 9, but he hasn't pitted just yet.
Yeah, some drivers still yet to pit, but also having a very strong slipstream down the main straight. As we see some of the other drivers coming out of the pits now, so looking to get their superior pace on the fresh tyres. As we look at Petrov still stuck behind Leo heading into 100R.
And looking to Lorenzo Ricci, he now exits in about 15th place, loses out to Ho Fu Mi. Fu Mi basically now stuck behind the guys who have yet to pit, Vasilyev and Shafkif Reza. Anthony Amanal have overtaken Jake Fox for 17th place. Now obviously here is where the strategy gets a bit interesting, obviously with this race being quite long and the risk of basically lap cars being very much alive. And as you can see here, Sheldon and Reza have already cleared the lap cars of Bon Air, Raji Kaczynski. What will Joseph Hernandez do?
Hernandez, it's just been a constant stalemate around the. Oh wait, hold on. That. Alright, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Is there lapped cars now?
There are lap cars now, and as you can see here, and as you can see, Vasiliev spun Shakib Reza, and he basically clogs up the traffic. Basically clogs up the track, and they basically allows Hans-Henrik Heinz to basically get free positions. And as you can see here, Jensen moves out, and Lorenzo Ricci, I think if he can continue, it will be good for him. And Shakib Reza is out of this race. Jake Fox, I think, manages to continue. Anthony Amenel manages to continue. What a mess that was for Captain Vasiliev.
Yeah, so we just talked about blue flags and just immediately just causes the content. It's just turned into an absolute car park down at Dunlop, and some have made advantage of that and some have lost massively from that.
And the best gainers out there, Hans-Henrik Heinz. Hans-Henrik Heinz have already pitted and have already built a 7-second lead over Aquamarine Jensen. So it's a massive W for Hans-Henrik Heinz to basically clear the car part that was at Dunlop. As you see, Vasiliev and Shakib Reza went side by side, and Shakib Reza, again, for the second race in a row, is going to be a DNF in the main race.
It just seems like whenever we just talk about a certain thing happening, something either really close to what we were talking about or something exactly about what we were talking about just happens out of nowhere.
But whatever the case is, whatever the case is, we have seen some few losers here at the moment. Aquamarine Jensen, Lorenzo Ricci, Anthony Amenel, and Jake Falk, one of the biggest losers on that collision as well, as they were quote-unquote collected in that car park between the collision between Vasiliev and Shakib Reza. And Shakib Reza, for the second race in a row, will come out of the racetrack frustrated, as it's basically something that's out of his control forced him out of the race.
Yeah, and we talk about blue flags, and like it's not really like they're obliged to get out of the way, so as leaders are going to have to be very careful as they approach him as Hernandez comes out of the pit lane.
And currently Andrew Akinbayev is in the main straight heading into turn 1. Joseph Hernandez has cleared some few drivers here. Joseph Hernandez currently in 10th place. 10th place is of course not ideal at the moment, where we have a few drivers ahead yet to pit. Let's see what Joseph Hernandez can do to steal that 10-second gap away from Shazan Reza.
It's gonna take a lot of dedication, but it's wait, hold on. Okay, I need to be somewhat more attentive. I'm already attentive, but it's kind of hard to figure out what I'm talking about.
It's all happening.
Yeah, everything is happening all at once. You're not the only one, so we don't blame you too much. As you can see, the stricken car of Shakib Reza is still here, but at least he's out of the racing line, but it's still quite a dangerous place. As you can see here, the leaders have made the move into the pit. Shakib Reza and Callum Gibbons at the same time.
That's what a comment, like if anyone gets forced off trying to overtake at Dunlop, then potentially going to be colliding with that parked car, so not really making an effort to clear that. And
meanwhile, Joseph Hernandez, he basically pitted a lap earlier, and Shazan Reza basically pitting now. Let's see, basically Shazan Reza have responded immediately to Hernandez's call to pit. So right now, with Callum Gibbons still inside and Shazan Reza already making moves out there, Shazan Reza have basically done what he needed to do to basically put himself back into the net race lead. As you can see here, Joseph Hernandez is still quite far behind to Shazan Reza. As you can see, Callum Gibbons and Ali Ganasser going side by side. Callum Gibbons having the colder tires. Ali Ganasser on the outside of turn 1 heading into turn 2 and into Coca-Cola corner. Ali Ganasser has the inside line, but what will Callum Gibbons do with those cold tires? Not much, because there's not much grip at the moment. Meanwhile, Juan Suharto and Kizar Leo making a pass for position. Suharto's now up to 5th.
It's gonna be a little bit of a mess while Gibbons' tires warm up, I believe, at least for a little bit, but they should warm up somewhat slowly but surely. Hopefully they are able to just get their place back. Speaking of getting their place back, I believe Shazam. Oh, what's going on over here? Actually, scratch that. We got a bunch of, sorry, not a bunch of, but we got some battles going on right now, Gibbons and Hernandez.
And yes.
We got, okay.
And So, okay, let me get back in control. As you can see, Count Gibbons trying to hold on into the outside line, hitting it to 13 and 14. Apologies there, Z. As there also another bit of battle between Hines and Vasily. I think there's contact between Vasily, Count Gibbons, and Adak-RMS. Count Gibbons already having his tires warmed up. So I think the overcut strategy may not be the strategy to be, but the undercut strategy. And as you can see here, Kazake Petrov hold back up to 6 is Harleo, now pits, and meanwhile there is a slight battle here between some of the other drivers here as well. And now look, Adak-RMS trying to fight back Count Gibbons. Let's see what countermeasures Count Gibbons will do.
Yeah, so using its superior straight line speed from the Honda, but Gibbons having another actually really late braking. Just gets it pulled up and gets the position back. So obviously tyres and brakes have warmed up very quickly, quite surprisingly, in his conditions, and is taken back 7th place at the moment and is clear heading to Coca-Cola Corner.
And you can see we're taking this light peak there into Coca-Cola, but obviously to no avail. And looking at Sheldon Reza is catching up into the Sean Pauli, who have yet to pit. Both of them having a very solid relationship between the two. Now, Pauli was supposed to be in the commentary booth, but due to him having a very noisy house at the moment, Sean Pauli basically declined the offer. And meanwhile, on air, Raja Kaczynski as Jake Fox pits once again, and I want to see what happened there to Jake Fox is currently in his second stop. So Jake Fox has miscalculated his fuel, so tough luck for Jake Fox as Shakib Reza manages to get himself back out on track. He is currently 3 laps down.
Yeah, somehow getting that car fired up again and back on track. It's way far down, so not really going to be anything to salvage from this race, but I guess some good time to get some track data.
Yeah, good, especially for the final race at Okayama. And actually, we might want to bring forward the race time to prevent clashing it with the sunset. So we may want to think of streaming it 2 hours early. We'll be keeping everyone updated on Adak-RMS Twitter for all the information and updates regarding Hololive GT3. And of course, Hernandez are really closing up on there. As Joseph Hernandez makes the move on Adak-RMS. Adak-RMS also had yet to pit. So Joseph Hernandez currently up to 7, but he's currently quite far back to Hernandez at 15 seconds to be precise.
It's just chaos going on around the track right now. A lot of people are pitting right about now. And as Gibbons said, the tires are unusually easy to warm up, so maybe the overcut is just maybe the strategy just to go.
And currently, Aquamarine Jensen up into 12th place, the rookie, doing very solidly in the race by having a slightly mangled front end. I also want to talk about a few gainers out there. Hans-Heinrich Heinz currently in 11th place in that Ozoros Bar Lexus. Meanwhile, Bon Air, Raja Kaczynski on a sparring battle between each other once again. Now this time it's Bon Air's turn to be in 19th place as Kizuhara Leo and Sergei Petra, 2 purple cars. What is this, phony? As Kizuhara Leo exits turn 6, the hairpin, the victor of this small battle here at the moment, and he's currently 17th.
I think we had a move for, it wasn't a move for the lead, it was about taking his pit stop, so Toka's lead now inherits that lead, but obviously only temporarily, as Shazan Reza should be the net leader once these pit stops finish.
And currently Shazan Reza looking to win under the lights here in Fuji Speedway, looking to basically redeem himself for basically the lackluster second half of the Japan Series regular season and basically the first half of the postseason as well. So Shazan Reza, what better way to get himself back on top than a win? As you can see here, the Yamaha sponsored Mori Luna car. Obviously, this is to reflect Mori Luna getting a good deal, sponsorship deal to promote Yamaha's Electones. Obviously, Mori Luna is very talented with the Electone, and this is and as a reflection on that, Yamaha decides to one up the sponsor deal for Mori Luna, and that's why you see the big Yamaha sponsor on the number 31 Honda. As you can see, Vasiliev also peeling into the pits.
Everything's starting to die down a little bit. Nothing much is going on. Looking at the gaps, though, Shazman Redza really gaining on Poly right now. I'd be decently scared, but and then everything else for the most part. Petrov is pretty close to Leo. That's mostly the two you want to watch out for.
And looking into the stats right now, Sean Pauli has been overtaken by Shazman Reza. Sean Pauli has now made the pit for tires and fuel. Remember, the overcut strategy means that you'll be pitting later, but you'll have fresher tires than everyone else, so you'll definitely be trying to basically make a comeback from the back to basically overtake cars in front. And obviously, in my opinion, it will be very interesting. It will be very entertaining to see guys come up the field. As Callum Gibbons has that net second place right now, actually overtakes Yoshio Hernandez. We need to mind everyone that. So Gibbons up to second, Shazman Reza up in that net race lead as Tacos have yet to pit.
Yeah, despite Gibbons being compromised, heading out the pit lane, battling both the Hondas, got the tyre one for just right and was able to fight back and looking like to hold net second place at the moment. As Hernandez and Nestor, it doesn't look like they're battling the moment. The gaps are pretty large between them, so I think the field is sort of mostly spread out, it's mostly settled down as we're actually past halfway through this race now.
Yeah, past halfway through this race, 25 laps complete. We're in lap 26. Sean Pauli have exited just about in 14th place. Paul Sartre is basically pitted and is inside the points. And barring Andrew Akimbayev and Andrew Takolev, everyone have pitted at least once. So while we're going to be showing you guys the progress chart right now, we also want to take a look into Fumi who have caught up to Andrew Akimbayev, who have yet to pit.
That could be, I think it's just a waiting game for Fumi right now, just waiting for Akimbayev, I hope I pronounced that right, to pit right now, but a overtake could be an option as well if you really want a quicker result.
And for that to happen, Fumi will need to basically ace the exit there, but Rahimbayev actually trying to make it hard, as Fumi trying to make it go around the outside, as Rahimbayev makes the move to go into the pits, as does Ali Khan Aster. So they'll be basically conceding their places at the front to have new fresh boots and a splash of fuel.
Yeah, Rakembiev just really parking it on the apex there onto the approach to the pits. Very interesting, taking it very slow on the final corner where it was just tires wearing out, just the choice in line. But nevertheless, I think that's the last two drivers that were yet to pit. I think everyone has pitted at least once now. Other than Tagosled. Yeah. Again, now we're not paying attention. Tagosled's still yet to pit, and Shazman Reds are still holding what should be the net lead after that.
If you look at this, look at it this way as it stands right now, Hernandez will also be in the podium as well at the very least. And with Lorenzo Ricci down in what should be a net 10 for 9th place, and Fumi basically holding on to the net 4th place, Fumi will be able to steal a massive amount of points to Lorenzo Ricci heading into the season finale at Okayama, a track that we haven't visited since April. So you'll be in 2 weeks for the season finale of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. And as you can see here, Anthony Amador trying to catch up to Lorenzo Ricci. And right now, Anthony Amador trying to steal Ricci to the top 10. Yes, and Taco making a move into the pits, as it will also mean that Shazman Reza has a 10-second gap over second place Callum Gibbon, but Yoshio Hernandez is not far behind.
It's gonna be, yeah, net leads are gonna be leads right about now. Let's hope for Taco's let's hope it's a very speedy pit lane stop in order for him to get back into the game really quickly, but it seems all the net leads have taken their place, and the Taco's lead has to just take them all back.
And currently Andrew Taco's led, dropping a few positions. He will exit just ahead of Hans-Harry Heinz, but Hans-Harry Heinz having the warmer tires, and Taco's led just entering turn 1. Let's see what Hans-Harry Heinz can do to steal more of that pace away, and the gap away from Taco's led. As meanwhile, the Machas has their personal best lap time of a 142 point. I actually can't read that enough. As Anthony Amel gets very close to Lorenzo Ricci.
Yeah, very close there into turn 1 and not getting the best exits, and can't really challenge it to Coca-Cola corner. So looking at the rest of the field, Taco's lead looks like has enough of a gap to mind Heinz while the tyres are warming up. But now that the pit stops are done, Heinz, one of the massive gains after we saw that car park before, so just avoiding that absolute cluster, to put it lightly. And Dimishev also a very big gainer as well, 9 positions gained as well.
Yes, it's true. Vladislav Damashev, if you haven't seen, if you think Hans-Harry Heinz did very well, Vladislav Damashev is doing very well as well, finally getting his car, the Aki Rosenthal Lexus in the points. And of course, Aki Rosenthal and the Rosenthal should be very proud to see that car inside the top 10. And also Count Gibbons started 8th up to 2nd. And if you remember back in March on the first split B race here in Fuji, basically the driver number 64 previously was Shakib Reza. He started 8th and was out to 2nd by the start of the 2nd lap. And after the round of pit stops, basically took the lead away from the previous Tokinosora driver Gabriel Aria, and basically takes the first win of the Hololive GT3 Japan Series Split B season. Shakib Reza took the win in number 64. But let's see if, let's say, barring a massive mistake from Shazin Reza, Count Gibbons might just be in a position to basically steal a win, but we'll have to wait and see.
I would not recommend foreshadowing your defeat right now, as it might actually happen, but Gibbons very comfortable 2nd place right now with Fumi about 9 seconds away, which is a pretty large gap. It seems everyone's kind of in their own little bubble around 1st through 3rd right now.
Yes, and currently we're looking at Petrov and Suharto battling for position. Petrov's now in 13th place, Suharto in 14th. There was a bit of a tussle between those two Nissan drivers as we're getting closer and closer into what's basically the second, basically 3/4 race distance. And looking at Hernandez's lap time, we have yet to see their pace coming into the timing beam at the moment. Shadid Reza, his lap time is currently 1:43.073. Count Gibbons is losing touch to Shadid Reza, which currently extended the gap. It was 10 seconds, it's now 11 seconds. And this will also mean that, yeah, it's a 1:43.354 for Gibbons, 1:43.309 for Joseph Hernandez. So there is literally nothing in between them.
Yes, very even in terms of pessimistic. Gibbons is very comfortable in 2nd at the moment, losing time to leader, but I don't really think that's the biggest concern. He knows that it's too much of a gap to make up unless he makes a huge mistake. As we look at Emmanuel and Riccio into the slipstream at the moment, sort of getting a bit closer, but I think just a bit too far back to make a move, so we'll have to wait another lap there.
And currently, the gap has opened up between Ricci and Emmanuel. The horsepower difference in the Nissan and the Honda goes in favor of the Nissan. Because Harley is trying to grab the gap to Wawan Suharto, so but he is quite far back. No moves made just yet. But meanwhile, we're looking at Kaczynski and Aster trying to go hammer and tongs between each other. Aster now going down the inside of Rajan Kaczynski. Will a move be made? The answer will be a resounding yes, as Aster on the inside line against Kaczynski. It's Aster up to 17th place.
Aster secured the position from Kaczynski. Pretty sure they're gonna hold that at least for a decent while, as I'm seeing the gap widening quite a bit. This seems like a very great victory for Aster, unless Kaczynski launches an offense, which it seems he's about to, getting close enough to potentially dive in there and take Esther's new 17th spot.
And
But
looking,
no,
okay, not really, as Esther still holds on to 17th place. Obviously, Jake Fox and I need to check the guys who have yet basically made their stops. Actually, no, Jake Fox and Catherine Vasilla did not miscalculate on fuel. We apologize on that, as they were actually pitting quite late as well, as Richie Ross has the fastest lap in that share coming from Nissan 141.7. Meanwhile, Shakif Reza, intriguingly, basically got teleported back into the pits. But we don't see a stop anywhere, but Shakif Reza holding on into that final spot, 22nd, I believe for the second time in a row since Suzuka. Meanwhile, Richie Rod is catching up to Fuji, who basically has lost up a good amount of pace, and basically Richie Rod trying to do this for personal reasons. He wants to be as high in the championship as much as possible, because remember, Fuji is his championship rival. He will not give an inch.
Yeah, we're not giving inch, and Rod's looking to take up mile, head towards Dunlop, not really close enough to make a move, so we'll keep on behind Fumi as we look at the middle. Still tailing Richie, so not really making any moves, as if a lot of the field spread out, and there's some like little battle packs here, but not really any moves being made at the moment.
And we're looking into some of the battles here. Richie Rod's getting very close there to Fumi into turns 15 and 16. Richie Rod's gap to Fumi is now only 0.4 of a second. Remember, we have seen the Nissan on Nissan battle. Let's see if Rod can have a very solid exit there off the final turn. Only 0.3 is the gap between these two Nissan cars. Number 1 versus the number 22 Tokino Sora versus Shirakami Fubuki. Richie Rod has the slipstream. Well, he has the pace, he has the slipstream. He's got the inside line settled. It's 285 to nearly 290 kilometers an hour on the end of that 1.5 kilometers straight. And you can see Rod side by side with Fumi. Fumi has to probably relent, but he's still keeping a car length, half a car length between the two cars. Will the move be made? Will there be contact? The answer will be no. Both of them respecting the boundaries between these two cars. As they are quite blind there, heading into 100R. It's not properly lit, but it will be Richie Rod consolidating 4th place. Very good stuff there.
Well, for now, anyway, hopefully, I'm pretty sure we'll launch an offensive potentially really soon, but well, there's nothing much going on right now. I'd just like to point out how beautiful the cars look under the moonlight with the occasional light posts. Just absolutely stunning visuals coming from them.
Yes, it's true.
One of the
yes, it's true. Just look at basically the interior shot, the exterior shot, and the night lights. But of course, with that comes a price, because the laptop that I'm having right now is a bit hard, and we're close to losing FPS. The reason we're having good FPS as it is because all the cars are strung out. And as you can see here, Fumi trying to make a counterattack. But he's too far back. And to answer someone in the chat box, yes, there are guys making 2 stops, and yes, there are guys who have miscalculated their fuel runs, and that's Bon Air and Raji Kaczynski. So Vasilyev and Rahim Bayev still having that 1 stop. So because, so just to give you guys a bit of context, Bon Air and Raji Kaczynski pitted quite early, so they might think that they can make it out on field, but obviously they have thought otherwise. So Bon Air and Kaczynski 19th and 20th respectively.
Yeah, so whether intentional or not, the 2-stop isn't really proven to be viable. Like, you're spending too long in the pit lane trying to change tyres, and even with the fresh tyres, you're just not making up that time. So it's not really much point in going for that 2-stop.
And looking at Richie Rod still holding on to that 4th place. We want to take a look into the timetables at the moment. Last lap for Yusuf Hernan is 1:43.503, but Chazan Reza's last lap was a 42.632, as the Scout Gibbons is 42.966. So basically, the top 2 are in a class above the rest, as everyone's just fighting for scraps. Meanwhile, the ambulance looking for any opportunity, anything in the book to get past Lorenzo Ricci to get himself inside the top 10.
It's gonna be just not getting close enough. But I'm seeing them definitely go in. I'm pretty sure there might be a pass. No, gonna definitely be at least an attempted offense, I believe. Within the next few turns, maybe a lap at most. But yeah, currently M&L is on the offensive right now.
M&L trying to make a move into Richie, heading into the final 2 turns, and you can see here Sergey Petrov has kind of caught up into the lap car of Mohamed Shakif Reza, and this will allow Juan Suharto and maybe Kizuhara Leo to catch up to Sergey Petrov if Sergey Petrov doesn't clear him quick enough. Meanwhile, Fumi hasn't cleared Richie Rod just yet, but Anthony M&L is keeping tab of Lorenzo Ricci, who's currently in 10th. Anthony M&L in 11th place. Will he get close enough to make a move? As you can see here, nothing much between Richie and M&L. They're basically, the difference in their paces are only at 100th of a second, so watch out for basically M&L to probably make a dive bomb the inside.
Yeah, just not having enough straight line speed there to make a move. I think Nissan's just got a bit more power even with the Honda in this slipstream, so it might require a desperate move from M&L there to, as I said, maybe even the dive bomb.
Well, we're looking at M&L there, trying to see if we can get close there, heading into the hairpin on board these 2 Honda and Nissan cars. M&L not having the exit that he needs, but he is getting close, heading into 300R and heading into basically the Dunlop chicane. Let's see if we can get close. Not close enough. No move made just yet. As Wawa Suharto is also getting very close to Mohamed Shakif Reza lap car, who is also catching up into Sean Pauly.
Oh crap, I accidentally. Alright, I'm back. I was accidentally out of the stream for a little bit, but it's fine now. Honestly, looking at gaps, I'm definitely seeing a couple gaps right now that are dangerously close to the upper cars. Definitely going to be some lost defensives within the next couple laps. In specific, we are keeping our eye on M&L and Risi, as everyone has, well, basically everyone's pointed out. But it's gonna be very interesting to see M&L's approach going on, as he seems to be taking the very patient approach for his hunting strategy.
Yeah, trying to get a decent exit, get into the slipstream and all that stuff. And as you can see here, Shakif Reza actually trying to unlock himself from Sean Pauly, getting one of his laps back. And obviously Shakif Reza having the pace that he has at the moment. I think he went back to the pit actually to get his car slightly serviced. And as you can see, Shakif Reza really going to the edge of that track. Sparks flying there. And basically Shakif Reza has now cleared Sean Pauly, and now Sergey Petrov's now in the mix to see if he can battle Sean Pauly.
Yeah, Shakif Reza just like compromising that field there, just there trying to get the lap back. We saw before how Shakif Reza didn't actually take a stop, so it looks like, yes, he said teleport back to the pits, maybe got fresh tires, it's now back out there, way down, but still willing to pick a fight.
And obviously, looking into some of the other battles here, Shakif Reza obviously out there in front on his own pace at the moment. Sergey Petrov getting close to Sean Pauly there. The gap is only 5/10 of a second between the four cars. Meanwhile, Fumi is now looking for round 2 with Richie Rod. Will he get close enough to 90 kilometers an hour? 291 actually for Hofumi into turn 1. Pushes Richie Rod off wide, and they are now side by side into turn 2 and heading into Coca-Cola corner. Richie Rod puts up a good defense, but will there be a dive down the inside? The answer will be no. Fumi's just way too far. Nearly lost the car as he goes off wide. His Richie Rod's 4th, and now he can breathe easy.
Very great stalwart defense coming from Richie Rod.
Yeah, Richie Rod having a very good defense, but meanwhile, Anthony M&L have also miscalculated his fuel run. He'll have to pit the second time. Obviously, it's a massive loss for Anthony M&L as well. And now you can see Sean Pauly and Sergey Petrov going at it. The Okakura cars going for that round 2. Sean Pauly and Sergey Petrov battling side by side. This will open the door for Juan Suharto and number 20 Chernobyl Flair Nissan to make a move. And as you can see here, Sergey Petrov and Sean Pauly, two SP cars, two cars representing the Okagoro card in Hololive Gamers. Sean Pauly representing Inogami Korode, and Sergey Petrov representing Nekomata Kayu. Sergey Petrov's now up to 11.
Yeah, just holding it very well around the outside. Was able to find that grip out there outside the racing line and kept the position. And Pauly's having a little, really takes a lot of curb. And I think it's made Petrov look a bit behind him, but he's still holding on to that position so far into the sector.
And Anthony Malone just exits in 17th place again. He rules another incorrect strategy. I think he bet way too early, or basically miscalculated his field run. Obviously, he said he doesn't have enough field to come across the end. But meanwhile, as we can see, more battles here, as we're seeing Sean Pauly trying to make a move into Sergey Petrov, but he's now going to be slightly under pressure for Juan Suharto, having that superior VR38 EDTT engine under that hood of that Chernobyl Flair Nissan. Juan Suharto, let's see what he can do. Will he make a move down the inside? The slipstream, the speed there, close to 280. Now he has reached 280. The slipstream, as you see there, it temporarily and momentarily reached 290. Or the case is, Suharto's too far back against Sergey Petrov to make any meaningful moves.
Suharto doesn't really have much on the table for offense right now, except for that slipstream. It's just going to be very hard for an offense for Suharto, at least I think. And speaking of offense, we got a offensive like Kimbayev and Aster right now.
Yes.
Currently, like Kimbayev seems to be taking the spot, but it seems Aster seems to be slightly catching up, maybe. Looking at gaps, yes, slightly catching up, not very much.
Yes, and you can see Sean Pauly losing quite the touch there to Sergey Petrov, but Sergey Petrov will also need to catch back up to Shaki Freza. Sergey Petrov is actually faster than Shaki Freza, I think, at the moment here at this stage of this race. We need to remind you guys of the tire age at the moment. Actually, Sergey Petrov have older tires than Shaki Freza, but Shaki Freza is losing quite the touch there. So let's see what Sergey Petrov can do to clear Shaki Freza. If he doesn't clear Shaki Freza quickly, now Sean Pauly might be in the mix.
Yeah, Petrov's too far behind Richie for position, so just on defense at the moment, hopefully not under pressure from Pauly. Pauly's sitting in the slipstream, but I think too far back to make a move, so we definitely want to get by that lapped car, hopefully on the front to Nissan. Obviously both of them Nissan drivers, but I don't think there's going to be any special treatment here.
And currently going on momentarily on board at number 56 Inugami Korode Honda. Obviously, we need to remind you guys of the field right now. Shaki Freza still having that 13-second lead, now 14-second lead over Cal Gibbons in second place. Yoso Hernandez holding on to third place at number 35 Sakura Miko Honda. If he continues to stay like this, it will be a comeback after crashing in the qualifying race on turn 1 on lap 1 at Suzuka. Yoso Hernandez consolidating that third place will be a sweet victory, at least in the context of what happened last round. Richie Ward in fourth, and Fuji holding on to fifth would be the few things in the championship order here at the moment. As does Andrew Tacos at 6th, and Lorenzo Ricci in 10th place.
Seems to be very, very comfy within the podium right now. I don't think we're going to get any change for the remainder of the race, seeing as we have about 5-6 laps left, and seeing the lap times, especially in the middle sections around Suharto, Pauly, etc. It's a little bit tight, but it's gonna. No real offensive has been launched yet.
And as you can see here, we look at Sergey Petrov, he got held up slightly by the car in front, that is Mohamed Shaki Freza. And watch Sean Pauly trying to barrel down the main straight. Juan Suharto's not far behind in 13th place. As you can see here, Juan Suharto trying to get himself close, but not quite close enough. Bon Air actually steering clear of a lap car. Actually, no, Bon Air is the lap car, and as you can see, Count Gibbons is being held up by Bon Air in that number 7 Monterey Lexus. So let's see what Count Gibbons can do to clear basically traffic.
I couldn't exactly tell the lighting. I thought there was contact at the hood. It still looked a bit odd at the lights in the moment. And I think he's just stuck behind the slapped car at the moment. And again, definitely held up. He's still got that 7-second gap to Mendes, so not really critical yet. And he's now tucked in the slipstream. So hopefully his fellow Lexus driver maybe might get out of the way, or he's got that straight line speed to get back through. Is having a little look into turn 1, so should be able to clear him quite quickly.
Yes, as you can see, Count Gibbons already steering clear of Bon Air, currently out of the lead at the moment. Now the previous cars who have finished on the podium last time out at Suzuka in that main race, none of them are in the points. Hell, one of them have already been knocked out from the qualifying races, so obviously tough luck for the guys who got finished on the podium, but it really shows the parity and the difference one round can make. And so we're looking into some of the gaps as well. So Harto really closing in into Sean Pauli at the moment. We are currently 39 laps. 39 laps have already been completed. Reza is already exiting the Dunlop chicane, and Sean Pauli is about to cross the line to start lap 40. And as you can see, Harto now side by side with Sean Pauli. Pauli and Harto side by side heading into turn 1. Harto have the inside line. Cameras are not working with us at the moment, but let's see, Sean Pauli can have a very solid exit off of turn 1. The answer is no, as Sean Harto takes 12 place. But will Sean Pauli make the dive on the inside into Coca-Cola? The answer is yes. Pushing on Harto slightly off wide, but let's see if that compromises his line. Sean Pauli going the very wide line, carrying a lot of momentum off that right-hander. Sean Pauli makes a dive down the inside. The answer is yes. But will he have a solid exit off of the hairpin? The answer will be no. Harto is in 12th place.
Seems to be, I believe to be the first real offensive within quite a few turns within midfield. One, as you've seen, just overtook Sean Pauli, but I think Sean Pauli might come for round 2 sooner or later within the next lap or two. Just patiently waiting for a simple mistake.
So right now, we also wanted to mention that the number 77 Postseason and Nissan had been involved in an accident. Yeah, he was involved in an accident involving himself and Catherine Basilia. Got spun out of the Dunlop chicane, and that basically clogged up the traffic just a bit. For the second time in Hololive GT3 Japan Series postseason, he basically gets himself down in 22nd. Basically last in the main race, but we also want to take a look at some of the other battles as well. Jensen is now catching up to Hans-Heinrich Heinz.
Yeah, Heinz, one of the major gainers out of this, as we saw earlier, that car park incident into Dunlop, so Heinz made up a lot of time there against the rest of the field. He's now possibly under a bit of pressure from Jensen heading to these last couple of laps, but he can maintain that gap. It's not really going to be too much of an issue as time is running out for the field.
And speaking of time is running out, let's look at the view here. The sun has definitely set it early. Remember, it's fall, it's winter, so obviously there will be less sunlight, there will be more moonlight and all that stuff. And right now we're looking at Kofu Mai holding on to 5th as it stands, and also Sean Pauli actually catching up to Juan Harto. The final laps are actually heating up in the midfield, as Reza builds up a gap between himself and Count Gibbons, and basically 20-second gaps between first and second. But let's see if, there could be some battles here. There is a battle possibly. You can see here Sean Pauli going into the inside of that Dunlop chicane between himself and Juan Harto. They're trading positions once again. Sean Pauli's on the outside heading into turn 12, and I think there was light contact, but so far so good for Sean Pauli. And now Juan Harto goes way wide. Now Sean Pauli back in 12th place. Well, let's see what Juan Harto. Let's see if Juan Harto have anything to say about it.
So sorry to interrupt, I was just looking at the timing board. Gibbons had a gap for about 7 seconds to start lap. That gap is dropping considerably in the past lap. I don't know if he's stuck behind a lapped car. 1:45 last lap, so he's stuck. Yes, he's stuck behind lap traffic.
Yes, he's got stuck behind Bon Air and Catherine Vasiliev, and he's definitely losing touch. And this will allow for basically Joseph Hernandez to catch up with Callum Gibbons. Here you see Joseph Hernandez tackling the lush chicane. You see Callum Gibbons trying to steer clear of the lap car. Bon Air is giving Callum Gibbons a massive headache, heading into turn 12, heading into 13 and 14, and still. Basically, they're not giving an inch as Juan Sarto steals a position, or at least tries to steal a position between himself and Sean Pauli. The final laps have gone pretty insane as it stands. You can see Juan Sarto on the inside of Sean Pauli. Sean Pauli's now on the inside of the hairpin. And of course, while this battle is happening, Joseph Hernandez is catching up to Callum Gibbons. So the battle for second place is still basically up in the air. You can see Joseph Hernandez 2 seconds faster than Callum Gibbons that previous lap.
I'd argue Gibbons has just a little bit more time left, but they don't have all the time in the world. They gotta pass at least one of those lap cars before just jog before going, because once he gets past that lap car, they're basically safe. At least I would believe are safe for now.
Yeah, safe for now, but for how much longer at the moment? We are currently in the penultimate lap of this race, lap 43 of lap 44. So right now we're looking at Joseph Hernandez trying to gain as much time to Callum Gibbons as much as possible. There's another battle between Catherine Vasiliev and Bon Air, and this will give even more of a headache to Callum Gibbons. And here comes Joseph Hernandez. The gap has now dropped to 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, it was 7 seconds a couple of laps ago, but now under, well, actually nearly under 1 second here. It's under 1 second now, definitely. So we got two battles going on here, but two battles that aren't on the same lap.
Basically, one battle is on lap 43 and one is on lap 42. As Shadid Reza is about to cross the line to start the final lap of this race in the lead. Shadid Reza started this race on pole. Wanted to give a message to everyone that he's still in it to win it. He is still looking to fight for the championship, as everyone else kind of slowly falls down by the wayside. And as you can see here, Hernandez really getting close there too. Callum Gibbons is the final lap of the race. Bon Air and Catherine Vasiliev give a lot of headache to Callum Gibbons, and now Callum Gibbons has been overtaken by Joseph Hernandez, but let's see if Callum Gibbons can try to fight back.
He's still had a look down the inside there, but that straight line speed is just got no power at all, so he's going for late braking, but not close enough to make a move now. And Mendes will be compromised by the lap traffic, so it would be a last lap opportunity. He wouldn't make on the main straight, so I think it's going to be possibly into the Dunlop chicane section.
Meanwhile, the two Nissans in 4th, 5th, and 6th, the highest Nissan, which you wanted in 4th, holding on to basically, as we mentioned again, 4th place. Fumi and Takuta are basically not far behind. Shadid Reza is currently tackling the Dunlop chicane for a final time for this race. Callum Gibbons and actually Joseph Hernandez going side by side, exiting the hairpin. And as you can see, both of them are being compromised by Catherine Vasiliev. Let's see if Vasiliev can work with Joseph Hernandez on this lap. But first we need to take a look at the Shadid Reza. He's still going to try to tackle turns 15 and 16. And of course, gets held up. There's contact between the 35 and the 11. Peko Bingo's not being in good terms. And basically spins Catherine Vasiliev off. And Shadid Reza, welcome back to victory lane for Shadid Reza since May. And what a win for Shadid Reza as he takes the win for him and Mori Luna. And meanwhile, what Joseph Hernandez did was basically spin off Catherine Vasiliev out of the running to make sure he has a buffer against Callum Gibbons. What about that?
Very
That's
good.
one way to do it.
Oh, yeah, definitely one way to do it, indeed.
One way to do it for sure. But meanwhile, here's that final lap, last lap gas. At the moment here, Joseph Hernandez will look to finish second after basically using Catherine Vasiliev as a pick. Callum Gibbons will look to hold on to third place, or will it be? But it will be too late for Richie Rod. It's currently a side-by-side battle. 1/10 of a second. The gap between Callum Gibbons and Richie Rod. Callum Gibbons defending third place with just barely his nose.
Absolutely nothing in it at all, just absolutely compromised by that lap traffic as Hines comes home in P7. One of big gainers out this as well, so very solid result. Jensen, Dimitriev, and should be Richie sealing out the top 10.
Yes, Southern and Hernandez basically stucking it in, basically in the lead and all that stuff, as basically everyone else gonna try to steer clear of each other there. Basically Southern has already lapped on air as well. Obviously Southern is very excited. He can't wait to get back into the basically podium and all that stuff, so he's basically rushing in. So that's basically the race over as we're about to finish off the field here, and Joaquin Bayer will be the last of the points scored, as the M9 will just be on a hair away from the points. So, and that pretty much it. We're going to basically get back into the pits and basically cover everyone else who have just finished this race. So yeah, with that race out of the way, I want to hear everyone's thoughts heading basically with this race over. Excuse me, as there is a bit of an issue with Bon Air have yet to cross the line. So yeah, before we're gonna get into the finishing results, I want to hear your guys' thoughts of this race.
Yeah, so Blue Flag Driver is playing a big part in the content per se, causing a couple of car parks and compromising some of the leading groups, so definitely providing a bit of chaos towards the end.
Chaos towards the end indeed, and before we look into Zeke's thoughts, here is the winner, Muhammad Sharin Reza, winning for the first time since May, first time since Bororam, and now equals Putri Farah Kamal and the Yuki Hanalami Honda for joint top winners in the Hololive GT3 Japan Series with 5 wins. Welcome back to Victory Lane for Sharin Reza, and welcome back to the podium for Yosef Hernandez in that number 3 Fasa Karamico Honda, using unconventional methods to get by Callum Gibbons on the final lap and to defend that second place on the final lap. Callum Gibbons finishes a solid 3rd place despite all this. Richie Rod 4th, Fumai 5th, Tacos led 6th. Hans-Harry Heinz is one of the biggest gainers out there, basically completing the basically amazing run that he had since Saturday. Aquamarine Jensen also delivering on promise in 8th. Damasha F9, Lorenzo Ricci rounds out the top 10. Here we have Sergei Petrov finishing 11th, Sean Pauly inside the points once again in 12th, Paul Sarto 13th, Kizuhara Leo 14th, and Joaquin Bayer finishes inside the points in 15th. At the end, thought he could have a top 10 finish, but ends up finishing 16th. Alcan Astor 17th, Bon Air 18th, and Catherine Vasilia got spun out, but I think because she got spun on the final lap, he only got credited with finishing 43 laps, but whatever the case is, she finishes 20th. 19th. Raj Kaczynski finishes 20th, Jake Foss 24th, and Shakib Reza ends up in 22nd. So we're going to need to take a review on what happened to basically a lot of these incidents here. So let's start off with the first one. Basically, we're going to look at Shakib Reza, who basically started last and all that stuff. Hang on, we need to look at Shakib Reza. See what happened there on basically his battle with Vasilia. Let's look at him and Vasilia. Let's see what you guys can pick it up.
I think I was heading towards into Dunlop, so in front of this little pack here. So Vasilia right behind as well. We've got Arturo that's there, and it's just a bit, just a very slight tap, very slight spin, but very costly in the end.
Yes, that's not pretty much it. That's not very much it, because apparently what Vasiliev had done was there was actually karma. What happened here happened in the end, especially with what happened with Yosef Hernandez. Here is the battle between Hernandez and Gibbons on the final lap. Gibbons looking for a gap here for Yosef, went wide there trying to overtake Vasiliev. Look at Hernandez here on the final lap here trying to see what he did to Catherine Vasiliev.
Yeah, so once again back into Dunlop, and the lap car's just not really given much room to the leading group here. So Hernandez had a look in, just having a little bump there, and again just another little bump. It's just enough to send a spin. Given the compromise there, almost gliding there, but just got it pulled up and still kept that 3rd place just.
And just about as well, and we also want to mention some of the few incidents as well, but I don't think there's anything too much of a noteworthy there, so we're just going to pause here. So when that that out of the way, I will want to see if basically the points tally have updated. So I'm gonna need you to double check on some of the files here, looking at the Japan Series standings and see if the standings have been updated. But right now, as it stands, with what happened today and basically tonight in Japan, there has been a lot of interesting battles, including battles left, right, and center. So as it stands right now, with Fumi getting a very solid run and Richie a bit behind, finishing just inside the top 10, we're looking at Fumi basically taking over the championship lead over Richie and Sheldon Reza taking over the top 5. And with that out of the way, I wanted to hear if you guys, if Zeke, if you have any thoughts of this race.
Just a bit crazy, and by a bit, I mean very, very crazy and unpredictable, and a lot happened.
Yes, a lot happened for sure. This is why we watched the Hololive GT3 Japan series and basically Hololive GT3 in general. And with that out of the way, we're going to basically end this stream right here because the championship standings haven't updated just yet. But provisionally, as it stands, the championship lead will have to go to Fumi heading into the final round of the season in Okayama. And with that out of the way, we'll hope the next Hololive GT3 International Series will be in Interlagos. But in 2 weeks' time, we will be deciding the postseason champion, the Hololive GT3 Japan Series champion, in 2 weeks' time in Okayama. And we do want to probably move up the date just a bit to accommodate the basically lack of visibility and lack of sun in the later stages of the race. With that out of the way, we're going to be closing the stream on a note that we all have been familiar with. I'm Mama Sheldon Reza, and alongside me is the returning Callan Gibbons. Welcome back to the commentary booth, and Zeke Wimberly, and you have been watching the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series postseason.